For 15 long years, the Ukraine conflict has persisted, casting a shadow of uncertainty. But guess what? There's a new player in town, and their approach is turning heads. In a world where tensions run high, China is stepping into the ring, attempting what the US couldn't achieve. Yes, you heard that right. Well, join us as we unravel the complexities of the Russia-Ukraine peace talks and China's remarkable role in this endeavor. With that said, let's dive in. China has taken an active role in the ongoing peace discussions related to Ukraine, which are being facilitated by Saudi Arabia. This engagement has garnered attention and generated optimism among stakeholders. It is worth noting that the situation in Ukraine has not been resolved and has even been seen as being exploited by the US, leading to doubt among Western nations regarding the US role in addressing conflicts. Such conflicts have raised questions about the intentions behind these so-called profitable wars, causing doubts about US leadership in conflict resolution. China's involvement in the peace process represents a departure from this historical approach. China's commitment to fairness and swift conflict resolution is evident. Unlike past instances, where conflicts were allowed to persist for strategic reasons, China's approach emphasizes fairness and a genuine desire to resolve conflicts promptly. China's recent endeavors to foster peace in Ukraine demonstrate a genuine commitment to leveraging diplomatic avenues for conflict resolution. These discussions occurred after a gathering of senior officials from approximately 30 countries in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. The two-day meeting held in Jeddah marked the second of its kind, with the first occurring in Copenhagen earlier in the summer, yielding no tangible results. Ironically, the initial Copenhagen talks, led by the US, did not conclude in peace despite the US role as a peace-invoking participant. Instead, these talks under the US leadership negated the potential for conflict resolution, inadvertently undermining the intended goal. Ukraine's President, Vladimir Zelensky, made a detailed plan with 10 steps to solve a big problem. But during the talks, people didn't listen to his plan. Now China is the most important member in the talks for peace. President Zelensky thinks these talks will make things better, and there will be a big meeting in the fall. Leaders from around the world will agree with and support these basic ideas. The talks also decided to create special groups. These groups will work on the details of Zelensky's plan. They will focus on things like making sure there's enough food, keeping nuclear power safe, taking care of the environment, helping people in need, letting prisoners of war go free, and rescuing kidnapped children. The information these groups find will help leaders talk more. At the same time, different groups of ambassadors will keep talking about specific details in the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv. All of these talks have one main goal: to get ready for a big meeting with leaders from different countries. China wants to know all the important details about the problem to figure out what should be done. They will gather all the information quickly, and the big meeting will happen later this year. Saudi Arabia wants to help both sides of the problem and be in the middle. Some experts think Saudi Arabia didn't organize these talks by itself. If they wanted to, they could have done it already. But China helped Saudi Arabia make a peace deal with Iran, and that helped make peace talks for Ukraine possible. China supported Saudi Arabia to start the talks. China could do it alone, but they want everyone to come together for inclusivity. That's why there were representatives from other countries like Brazil, India, South Africa, Indonesia, Mexico, Zambia, and Egypt in the talks. Even though China didn't come to a previous meeting about Ukraine and Russia, its presence at the big meeting in Saudi Arabia is a good sign for Ukraine and Saudi Arabia. This shows that China is ready to talk about important problems that can make the world more stable and solve conflicts. Remember that the US always wanted this position, but it didn't work out because things were stopped whenever they had the chance. China's decision to join these discussions is a way of expressing its desire to find a peaceful solution to the ongoing war. Additionally, China is signaling its intention to play a role in resolving conflicts in the Western world, adopting a role akin to that of a father figure. China is open to hearing ideas that could lead to a peaceful resolution. This aligns with China's broader goals of being helpful in global matters and contributing positively to international conversations. You might wonder if Russia would be upset about this. Well, no. China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, and Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, spoke on the phone to discuss how to proceed. This demonstrates China's commitment to diplomatic approaches that avoid creating hostility. China's strong friendship with Russia remains intact, even as they engage in separate diplomatic endeavors. For instance, they recently conducted a naval exercise together in the Bering Sea. This showcases the durability of their partnership and their continued collaboration. China aims to assert its influence in a world that's changing, and this summit is a strategic move in that direction. China's engagement with countries in the global south, regions including the Middle East, Africa, South America, and Asia, indicates its efforts to form partnerships beyond its usual allies. Consequently, this shift is leading the US to lose influence, which is a natural consequence. More so, Vladimir Putin recognizes and appreciates China's approach. He hints that China's peace plan might hold the key to resolving the Ukrainian conflict. Putin slyly implies that the West isn't genuinely interested in solving the conflict. Rather, it wants to propose and enforce solutions without involving Russia. Putin asserts that a resolution can only be achieved if the Western players truly understand Russia's perspective. China, being a diplomatic superpower, comprehends how to engage with the involved countries and encourage their cooperation. Forcing them to accept terms would only exacerbate the conflict. Instead, China understands the art of persuasion and cooperation, recognizing that a balanced approach is vital for successful outcomes. China plans to pursue a careful approach in this situation. Instead of directly telling Russia to leave Ukraine, China will follow a step-by-step approach. This involves suggesting peace plans from Ukraine and also from Western countries, including Russia. However, no plan will be put into action without discussion and potential adjustments. All parties involved will have the chance to be flexible in their approach. Also, China might ask Western countries to stay out of picking sides in the conflict. To explain it more easily, China can request that the Western nations let Ukraine decide things on its own without messing with it. This is important because if the West tries to control what Ukraine does, things could get worse. Putin, the leader of Russia, wants something similar. He thinks the West and Kyiv should be ready for his plan. China wants to make sure that no plan goes against either Russia or Ukraine. At the same time, China won't see Russia the way the West does. Instead, China will stay neutral and treat both sides fairly. China's special position lets it bring together the different sides. This might help them find common things to agree on with Russia and other countries, so they can stop the fighting. Even if the Russian leaders don't like it, China is determined to stop any group forming that's against Russia. China's involvement in this matter is strategic. By participating, China can improve its reputation as a global mediator. It can also strengthen its relationships with European countries and solidify its position in the Middle East and among other developing nations. It seems that China might take on the role of solving the Ukraine war issue while being seen as a global peacemaker. Meanwhile, the United States has two choices. One is to wait and not take action, which might result in being left out of important global talks over time. The other choice is for the US to decide what to do on its own. If it goes with the second choice, the country can show its independence and plan how it wants to step back from the situation that's happening. This way, the US can match its actions with what it believes is important. So, what do you think about China's approach in contrast to the US efforts over the past 15 years? Let us know what you think about this in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.